Hello, welcome. This is another episode of Transcendent CEO. I'm Andrea Albright, and I am thrilled to be here with the one and only Satyan Raja. Hello, Satyan. Welcome to the episode.
Andrea, always wonderful being here with you. Thank you.
Well, we are going to have an amazing conversation. We've got an incredible visionary CEO who is truly innovating technology, wellness, health. I mean, we are going to go deep into many topics today. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so, I gave a little teaser there. So tell us, what are you up to? What makes you a transcendent CEO?
It's a great question. I feel like the company I keep being in this circle with you guys makes me a transcendent CEO. At least keeps me grounded in it. But what I'm up to is building technology called Sensi. And what Sensi is that it's everyone's $1 million coach available whenever, wherever. So Sensi helps people identify sources of stress using smartphone sensors, and then it provides the most effective techniques in the world to help reduce those sources of stress and integrate them into wisdom. It's coming out in 2021, and we're really excited about that.
That's amazing. Well, it's just what I know about what you're up to and the technology you've been developing. It truly is going to revolutionize health and happiness and well-being. And as a transcendent leader, why do you think this technology is so important today?
Wow. Yeah. I think my own personal experience building technology companies, the amount of stress that I went under, and how easy it is when building a company to lose sight of our wellness and to lose sight of the other important parts of our lives. So having a technology that can help me maintain balance for myself and help my teams maintain balance. And in that balance, that's where the keys to performance lie, right? So making sure that our team is always thriving and not in these extreme states of high performing and then lots of sickness, So I feel like it can be a real bedrock to help usher in this new culture.
Amazing. Well, you speak as though you've had some experience of burnout and overwhelm. And isn't it so fascinating that a technology entrepreneur is developing technology for being a better entrepreneur? I love the mirror reflection going on there. Well, Satyan, I'd love to bring you into this conversation. Why do you think stress and monitoring stress and being aware of stress is so valuable? And why is Mike's technology so needed today?
Well, this is the number one cause of disharmony in our lifestyles today, especially in the West, is overwhelm, stress, continuous pushing harder and harder and harder, not taking the time to care about ourselves, our family, our well-being, and then putting other things as more important. And in our Western culture, success, striving, attainments, material gain is considered God for many people, whether they know it inside or not. They're living in a way that's the religion of choice. And the challenge is when you're in a constant state of pushing, demanding, creating material gains, which is all wonderful, until it starts to break you down, until that pushing and pushing starts to wear down your mind, wear down your body, wear down your essence, wear down your wellness, wear down your sense of lightness in life. And so I believe that by going deep, first of all, into finding the source of why do we struggle? Why do we have stress? Why are we living a stressful life? And Mike's, technology, Sensi, is really the cutting edge of detecting the source of these inner stresses. Because I believe when we get to we can do external things to try to reduce our stress, change our timetable, take a little bit more time off. But until we get to the root of it and become self-aware of how we internally are creating and supporting the stress and learning how we can, if you will, release the stress, and even more importantly, not get ourselves wound up to that position in the first place. This is the skill, the artistry of the warrior sage, the entrepreneur of today and moving forward. Those who continue the path of continuous stress, overwhelm, are going to start dying out physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, relationally, and financially. Yet those who take this path of greater ease, greater flow, internal wellness, balance, and equilibrium, they will be the superstars, the billionaires of tomorrow, without a doubt.
Amazing. Yes, the old paradigm of push, push, push until you break, it just is no longer sustainable. I actually have a quote from you that I keep right next to my computer. You say, the root of all stress is attachment.
Mm.
That's a powerful quote that I remind myself of daily. And this is an example of how the transcendent CEO goes to the root of the cause and the situation. And Mike, you've now been mentored by Satyan, and can you share some of the things that you were doing before you found Satyan? So it sounds like you've been an entrepreneur for a while. Can you tell us about your background and maybe some of the other things you've tried in mentorship or business coaching?
Yeah, definitely. Do you want me to start with my background first, or do you want me to go
Sure.
into the? Okay,
Yeah, let's
so
do your background.
yeah, so I built my first company when I was young. I was like 13 or 14, and then sold it before going to college and used some of the proceeds to help fund some of my college. And then out of college, I went into banking. I worked at Merrill Lynch and then at a hedge fund and as a trader, and was making lots of money but felt really unfulfilled. And so I just set the intention, this is about 11 years ago, 12 years ago, of wanting to do something that helped a lot of people. And that led me into technology about 11 or 12 years ago, into technology startups. And so I was part of a shipping technology company in Miami, roughly about 11 years ago now. I was employee number one. That's where I cut my teeth. And then from there, I left and started my own firm called Free Lunch, which was like one of the first social influencer promotional platforms, leveraging the Facebook and their social graph. And from that, I rolled that into Groupon. And then in their early days, and I helped lead the international expansion for Groupon throughout Asia and the Middle East. And working for Rocket Internet out of Berlin, a guy named Oliver Semwar, an amazing entrepreneur and venture builder. And after the IPO of Groupon, I came home. I was part of a Y Combinator technology startup called Grouper Social Club, which is an amazing hit out of New York City. I was between New York and London. And then we started our own firm too, called One Hyperion, where we invest small amounts of money in early stage technology companies. And we also do venture innovation projects. And I share that because we built one of the large cruise lines. We built a biometric payment solution for where you could transact with the blink of the eye. It's the first bio token for payment systems. And when we were building that actually led to the creation of Sensi, which is what I'm now working on. And inside of that, a lot of my mentorship was around building businesses, just like the old school style of just like work really hard, like work as hard as you can and build as hard as you can, and like don't have a life. Crazy work styles, like 16-hour days. And that led me to getting burned out pretty badly, which then led me looking for solutions. And I've done so many things under the sun. I've done everything from getting my yoga certification. My wife and I own a yoga studio in Miami Beach. I've been a mindful meditation practitioner for 12 years now. I've done, EST or Landmark. I've done so many different programs to try and find like a good foundation. And I was still struggling after like all the work I've been doing with other programs and other like things. I was trying to find a program to help me flourish in all functions of my life. And I was complaining about it in this like social circle that I'm a part of. And a mutual friend of Sachin's and I heard me, and he heard me also what I was working on, and was like, "Oh, you have to connect with Satyan. He's like the guy." So I was like, okay, and I'm open. And so I had one meeting with Satyan, and in that meeting, I've talked to lots of different people in this space, and I'm always very weary. And so, I was just like listening to Satyan. Satyan's like, okay, we're gonna try one of my techniques, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's what I want to experience. And like one technique, like 7 minutes into it, and I'm seeing like just like sacred geometry internally. I'm just seeing all kinds of. It was a profound, transformative experience within a very small window of time. I mean, it's probably less than 7 minutes. It's probably like 5 minutes, and I'm literally just having this transcendent experience that Satyan induced in me. And I have never, in all the people I've worked with, I've never once called anyone a master. And that was it. After that experience, I was like, oh my God, you're a master. I was like, you are fully a master. Like, holy shit. And that was sort of the door opening for me. I tend to be a little resistant at first, but that like blew the door open. So it was a long story, but that was sort of the trajectory of how I got here now.
Amazing. Well, that was a phenomenal story. And what you have been creating it's really outstanding and incredible. And, this idea of being a seeker and searching, I can definitely relate to that because we've had so many experiences looking for all these different pieces that we thought would fulfill us. And Satyan, why do you give an experience that is like what Mike is describing? Can you explain that transcendent pop that he experienced?
Well, in my Kung Fu tradition, which I grew up with for many years, my mentor said, it's better to give a demonstration than to talk someone's head off. I can talk about this. I can talk about higher states of consciousness. I can talk about spirituality. I can talk about expanding your mind and heart. And there's thousands and thousands of books written on this. We can go on YouTube. We can hear the world's best lectures and sharings on these great wisdoms and understanding. It's totally different than when you experience it for yourself. And so my philosophy as a warrior sage is that let's have the experience of transcendence ourselves, not theoretical, but tangible within ourselves. And so in my work, I like to guide people through psycho-spiritual practices that get them in touch with their true nature and awaken them in basically what I do is I like to zero in on where's the biggest struggle. Where's the biggest psychological, mental, emotional struggle? What's really stuck in there? It could be fear. It could be family issues. It could be money issues. It could be self-esteem. It could be a sense of worthiness. Regardless of how much flow or money's happening, we still have these internal obstacles, if you will, and limiting beliefs. We have imprints from our family lives that hold us back. We have lack of self-worth issues sometimes that manifest in ways that make us become more gregarious or more egoic, or the opposite, where we become overly humble and shy and play too small. And so in this work, we guide people to feel and go as a warrior, bravely, consciously, not avoid and not spiritually bypass, but dive deep into the restrictions, the contractions. And through very specific ways, those contractions open. And as Mike experienced, he experienced divine states of consciousness. What some would say they would experience in a plant medicine journey or in some type of sacred shamanic journey. I believe that these internal dimensions are all within us, as all the great sages have taught us. And it's having breakthroughs and experiencing our transcendent nature that gives us a new viewpoint. It goes, wow, all the things that I thought were had so much meaning. It's really an excess amount of attachment that I have on those things that I'm the one giving it meaning. I'm the one that is giving those things excess importance. And when you do that, you strangle the flow. So by reducing the importance, the attachment, by dissolving it through these very specific articulated ways we go through it, what happens is our soul starts to breathe. We get to release things that have been there karmically for years, that have been holding back for years, and we can release them, transform them in minutes. I'm not into long-term personal growth. I believe let's awaken ourselves, let's clear ourselves, and let's go and experience the joy we're meant to live now. And more importantly, as leaders, as business leaders, let's go out and create our creations without obstacles. But to do that, it all starts with coming into coherence, coming into equilibrium, clearing away the old obstacles of fear and restriction, and then coming from our heart and creating with excellence and integrity.
Yes, you never forget your first transcendent pop from Satyan. I know mine is forever ingrained with a wonderful memory and a feeling of going, "Oh, I always knew this was true. I knew that this was the way it was supposed to be." So, Mike, can you share some of the results, some of the benefits you've received from being mentored by Satyan since that first pop?
Oh yeah. They have been, the benefits have been extraordinary, really extraordinary. It's funny. it's funny because if I was if I was a CEO and I didn't know Satyan and I hadn't experienced him and I heard someone talking about this, I was like, that sounds like it's not possible. So I want to just say that first in case anybody is out there is like me. But this is what I've experienced. What I've experienced is so much more flow and easiness. Like these words are hard to, they're not necessarily like something you can grab, you know, they're not tangible, but like so much more flow. And I guess to try and make it tangible, what I mean by flow is my old way of working was I'd wake up really early in the morning, start to work, take care of the kids, to get them to school, and then come back, work a ton, do like dinner, bedtime, and then I get back to work, you know, work till like 1 or 2 in the morning. It was just insane. And since working with Sachin, you know, after doing bedtime with my kids, I go to bed. And it's like 8, 9. I go to bed early, and I get up and I don't work right away. You know, I do my meditation, my yoga practice. I take care of the kids. I get them to school, and then I come back and I get into work. And I'm working way less, and like so much more is getting done. And so that's what I mean by flow, to try and principle that for anyone out there who's like, what does that even mean? That's what I mean. It's like there's so many things that are happening for me or through me or as me, rather than like me having to try and do everything. And I feel like that's really where I was stuck, and I couldn't even see it, was I was trying to do everything. So I was like strangling my own business, you know, because it was like, I got to get everything done. And now, you know, as I in this expansiveness that Sachin is helping to induce in my life and helping to get me more clear, there is this opening or, you know, expandingness of myself, my consciousness. And in that, things are getting done, you know, externally, which is amazing. You know, prior to Sachin, I wouldn't have thought that was possible. And in fairness, like there was a lot of fear around that. It was like, holy shit, I got to just like let go. Like, how are things going to get done? You know, like, and things still get done. They get done beyond my wildest dreams. And that's what I'm witnessing in my product and what I'm bringing to market is like in those short time we've been working together, my product is now like extraordinary. And it's really beyond what my initial imagination was for it. And so I'm so grateful for that. You know, that's business side. Also in the business side, I was stuck a little bit before meeting Sachin. That was part of how I got connected to him. Got me completely unstuck in like so many different ways. You know, from one of a partner and myself, investment. You know, so we got unstuck with a partner, got unstuck with investment. We received capital. We were receiving business partnerships. We're just like, and this is all flow. This is what I mean by flow. Like it's all just like flowing. And then on top of that, my intimate life with my wife and my children and, you know, my in-laws and my family, that's all improving, you know, and my health, you know, I take time now for my health, which is fantastic. And I sleep, which these all sound like basic needs, but they just weren't things I was giving to myself. And, you know, now after working with him, everything is getting better. I'm just so grateful for that. Has that answered the question?
Very well. You answered that extraordinary. And so this attachment to control, would you say that it is a common trait you see in CEOs, Satyan, you know, this belief that if I let go, it's not going to get done and I'm the only one who can do it. So therefore we're grasping and holding things even tighter. Would you say that shows up in a lot of the CEOs that you've met and you've worked with?
Almost all of them, including myself for years. I believe it's part of our natural entrepreneurial business leader DNA. We are creators. We are creators. We're born to create. We're born to expand. We're born to keep the energy moving forward. Those of us who have karmas of entrepreneurship and business leadership. So that's natural. If we fight those karmas and try to live amongst life, it doesn't work. But if we overrun that side and we push, because those are the imprints we have, as Mike was sharing before he started in the Transcendent Circle, what happened was those are the traditional paradigms. And do they achieve success? They achieve financial success, perhaps. But the other dimensions of life suffer greatly or have a potential to suffer greatly. To me, the new paradigm now is a holistic in a form of achievement and attainment, where our personal lives are fulfilled, where our physical health and vitality, we feel good, we feel sexy, we feel alive, we feel empowered, we feel rested. Now, if the purpose of entrepreneurship is to have freedom, but we can only have freedom when we've checked off this, that list never ends. Every morning you wake up, the entrepreneurial list gets nailed to the fridge, and there's 20, 30, 50 things more every morning, correct? Like that's just the way it is until you make this internal shift. Now, control. This is a really important piece. Yes, many of us entrepreneurs have an excessive control energy. Why? Because we fear that if we lose control, everything will fall apart. If we let go of control, our teams will fall apart. Things can happen, unknown dooms around different corners that we don't even know. We have these all happening within ourselves. Now, one of the practices of being a transcendent CEO is not letting go of control. It's loosening the grip of excessive control. My grandmother once said to me, she's passed now, bless her soul, she said, Satyam, if you go to the river or the water, the lake there, and I ask you to get some sand, bring some sand back for me, just not that far away. She says, if you grip too hard the sand, it falls through the fingers. If you hold the sand too loose, it falls through the fingers. So part of being the transcendent CEO is holding it, but not gripping it and not being loose with it, but having this beautiful equilibrium of being and finding that at a psycho-spiritual level, and then running our companies from this beautiful state of inner centeredness, not driving, not lackadaisical, but intentional. And here's the magical key. Here is the magical key I'm going to give you. Lower the importance on all the things you think are important. When you can lower and dial down, it may be hard to eradicate the importance, but if you can lower the importance, like a speaker volume, if you see, I'm really gunned up, I'm really drawn up, I'm really getting a little tense around this, I'm getting into tension and overwhelm, it means that on some level, we have attributed an excess amount of importance onto something that we can loosen the grip of control with. That doesn't mean we abandon what we need to do. It doesn't mean we abandon the detail, the excellence that we need to put into that effort, but we can let go of the struggle. Struggle is effort laced with negative emotion. And so this balancing act is what we're here to do in this equilibrium circle. It's to find and to keep and to stay on the path of maximum impact and least resistance. It's a way of life, and Mike has clearly tapped into it. Mike, I'm so proud of you. You have made some of the most radical shifts I've seen in the shortest period of time, because you have the willingness to live at a higher level of oscillation and are willing to trust yourself and trust to be guided to attain this freedom state that you're experiencing. And we're just starting, my friend.
Thank you. One thing I just want to say, what you just said, if there's an entrepreneur or CEO out there that's listening to this and was like me and was stuck somewhere, rewind and listen to everything Sachin just said again, because that was like the most articulate. I didn't have that awareness of what you just shared until I started working with you. And that described to a T what was happening to me and how I got stuck was the excess of importance I was attributing to partnerships, to clients, to everything external, and it was getting me so tangled up. So anyway, I want to just acknowledge that, and so grateful for how that's helped to unlock me. Thank you.
No, I love it. Yeah, every time Satyan speaks, it's always like, yes, the emphasis is that's exactly what we all need to hear. And this is actually right into my next question, because we are in a part of the equilibrium circle. It's a group of CEOs that meet 3 times a month, and we do regular retreats in Hawaii. And so it's not just that initial pop that woke you up and now you're here on the mountain and nothing can shake you. There is a practice, there's a routine, there's a ritual, or what Satyan says, the dojo. So how important has the equilibrium circle been to your continued growth, continued expansion, but also not falling back into those old patterns that brought you success, right? Like on anyone's checklist, you were very successful. And so how has the circle helped you from going back to those patterns?
Yeah, so important. Just, from the subtle to like the non-subtle. So it's weekly, right? And it's 2 hours on a Thursday, and just the subtle act of like stopping everything I'm doing on a Thursday and going and just like getting on this group call with all of you guys is so significant, and not subtle. And the significance is like, it reminds me that like I don't have to be like strangling everything, and then on top of that, it also connects me to a group of other humans that are going through a similar experience as me, and the connections that I feel that are created inside that circle are so valuable, because of the authenticity, the vulnerability, the truth that's spoken, and hearing and empathizing and sympathizing with a peer group. It connects me, and it's funny because I think on a subtle way it's training my brain for all the other things that are happening in my life, in terms of like realizing how important my relationships are, right? So that I honor these relationships. I come, and if I'm honoring these relationships, I'm honoring my wife, I'm honoring my children, I'm honoring my in-laws. It's like, so it has this huge ripple effect, and it's just a subtle act of getting on this call, and that's just on the getting on the call I'm talking about. Now, what we do inside that call is, that's just like, I don't know what the analogy is. I'm coming up short on an analogy there, but what we do on that call is so transformative, from the act of dialing in together as a group to the act of us all sharing our wins, insights, and learnings, and then the peer-to-peer support that Sachin helps to cultivate between us is amazing, and then the different clearing techniques that we go through are so powerful, so I had this like weekly like unclearing, or clearing, excuse me, this weekly clearing that I get to experience in a group setting, that I feel like we're all clearing together our energy. And when I leave that call, I'm so revved up. Not only am I so revved up after I leave that call, but like the week leading up to the call, I'm like thinking about like, yeah, right, what wins, insights, learnings am I going to share in the call? How am I going to contribute to this amazing group of humans? It's so important and so impactful. Grateful to be a part of the group.
Yeah, the collaborative, the collective, the co-creation, it's really an incredible experience. And somebody watching may think, whoa, 2 hours, I could never take 2 hours on a Thursday. And what I've noticed is that devoting that time to yourself, to your business, everything we go through in that circle, it's like, here's how to manage your team, here's how to attract money, here's how to align with business partners, here's how to dial in your marketing, you literally get all the business solutions that you need, not just from Satyan, who's the master creator, CEO himself, but from everyone in the group. They're going through something that you will either go through in the future, and so you know exactly how you're going to deal with it, or you're like, oh, now I know how to navigate around that. And so that time is really priceless. And what would you say to the CEO who's watching, Satyan, who maybe has been a part of a group before, and my experience was like, I'm the smartest one here, or I'm the leader here. So what do you think it's like to actually be surrounded by other people who inspire us to be even greater?
The philosophy I have with our equilibrium circle is that we are all masters at play. Not I am the leader and everyone is my followers, or anyone is a leader, anyone is followers. I like to have it. Mike is a master in his own right, has such great wisdom and life experience. His mastery of technology is beyond anything. And how he contributes to that team is profound, where everyone's like popping when he talks. When you're sharing with your mastery of publishing and your incredible experience in PR, when you're sharing, everyone is listening deeply and going, yes, we'll do this, we'll dial in with this. And then when they have something to share, I see your eyes lighting up. I'm lighting up as well from when I'm receiving all of this. So it's a crucible of profound gifting and receiving that goes beyond any type of traditional business circle, period. We talk about sex, we talk about power, we talk about money, we work on clearing our egos, we give reflection on the areas that you will not get anywhere else. But we do it in the spirit of what I call the Warrior Sage Dojo. Now, dojo, D-O-J-O, comes from the Japanese term of a school, a place where you practice martial arts. And since my grounding is in martial arts. I like to hold that philosophy. We give each other an honoring when we start. So it's not, hey, bud, how's it going? It's not, it's an honoring. Namaste means I see the divine in you, the divine. I recognize that. We give each other an honoring, a warrior sage honoring, which represents I value. I see the warrior, the spiritual warrior in you. I see the sage, the person of wisdom and love that's in you. We start and we end like that. That alone is profound because it's genuine. We don't do it because it's some type of ritual or some type of thing that's demanded of us. It comes from the heart. Then when we dive in together, the dojo mentality of coming 3 times a month, week after week after week, to upgrade, to deal with the true, actual, as you shared, marketing, staffing, team development, expansion, investing, acquiring, you name it, exiting. We go through all of it, but we go to it together as a family, not just as distant, removed, cold, gray-like type business beings, but as masters who are here to evoke, inspire, and call upon each other to be the greatest expression of who we are. That, I believe, is invaluable, priceless. You can't get it. And the nature and the quality of who we have, you can feel it. It's alive, it's real, and it's true. We're not a bunch of woo-woo people who are going nowhere. This is a bunch of very dedicated individuals who are creating for real big missions, big visions, and realizing them. But what we have at the heart of it is a love of each other and a care for each other and the willingness to receive and to share our greatest gifts. And that we're willing to do this together week after week after week to continuously up level ourselves. This is the dojo philosophy. And I believe the philosophy of today, because those who are looking for just some peak experience here and there, or a seminar just to upgrade for one time and then everything cools down, you go back into your regular schedule. We don't do that. Here, this is about constant and development of our mastery for the sake of our own lives and for the sake of all beings.
Yes. And if that sounds exciting, then you are one of us, because there are not many people who would even want to show up for this level of growth and self-awareness. I mean, this is the path of the warrior sage. And Mike, would you say that you have faced yourself in a way that you never thought possible, and that you've now found a greater sense of self and strength from within you? And what is that like?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's such a great question. I feel like to be of service to any other CEO or entrepreneur out there, I feel like giving a specific example might help to qualify that, make it a little more tangible. And so I think like one of the ways, I'm gonna make it in relation to the circle specifically. There's a lot of stuff, other value in addition outside of the circle with the work I do, Sachin, one-on-one. But like in the circle, so my relationship with investors, so my existing investors, the relationship was great, but like future investors and like sort of the energy of them wanting more and me not wanting to give them more, and like me wanting my freedom and like not wanting to get like tangled up in this, like I'm reporting to you, like there was a lot of emotion and noise that would come up for me on that. And being able to get on a group call with Satyan and then with a bunch of other CEOs and entrepreneurs who have either raised capital or have investors or these types of relationships, and just speak authentically about it, and be able to be really super open and honest about it. It's like a purge of the energy. So prior to that circle, I'm holding it. I'm just like frustrated and pissed about it and don't know what to do with it, and potentially acting out of that energy, which that's obviously not getting me forward. Now I'm on this call and I literally just be like, hey, here's what's going on, blah, 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 and all of a sudden, Sachin opens the mic up and people are sharing their insights and like helping me, clear it, helping me learn how to integrate it, helping me learn and see a new way of seeing it, a new lens of perception. And when I leave that call, literally it's just set me, I was, going this way, which might not have been serving me, to now going this way, and a 2-hour investment, that's very cheap because I'm literally, my whole energy and trajectory just changed, and that was, a very real world example. I hope that helps answer it.
That's a great example. And it's very tangible and realistic. And here you are attracting investments, growing your business. And so obviously the shift has been a positive one.
Oh, definitely. Oh my God. Oh my God. Positive beyond my imagination. Yeah.
Aw, that's beautiful. Well, I just love seeing you light up and shine. And I mean, you're up to such incredible things. You know, you are innovating technology that is going to serve humanity, not just for the people alive today, but we're talking generations, because the awareness of stress, monitoring stress, like we don't even know what is going to be possible when we have this tool and this technology as far as preventing disease and divorce and relationship breakdowns and abuse and addictions. I mean, it really is a huge ripple effect. And so, Satyan, would you agree that when a person like Mike comes to be mentored by you and joins the equilibrium circle, that it's more than just the change that's happening within him, but it really is a quantum shift on the planet?
I'm interested, I learned early on that just fulfilling yourself lasts for a little bit. The fulfillment, the happiness, filling your own belly, that's good. Filling the bellies of others, that's even more amazing. There's such a good feeling when we're able to contribute and serve in a bigger way. But ultimately, I feel there is no separation between all of us. Part of the transcendent philosophy is that we're actually all one divine being, if you will. We're all connected to one divine. We actually are of an absolute divine unity already. And that somehow our life experience and our humanity has made us forgotten our intrinsic unity, the union that we already have with each other. And I believe that through this work that we're doing, that if we can start to relax and dissolve the separative consciousness, which has ransacked our union, our real tacit knowing that we're at one, when that starts to be healed and transformed as we do in our work, and then we start to recognize, not here, not philosophically through reading, but through in our own knowing that we are one, then naturally our morality rises. Naturally, our synchronicity arises. Naturally, our good heart opens up. Naturally, we start to feel more fulfilled as a human because we know that we are one. Because I believe that's ultimately what we're all heading for. But in our circle, we start with that, and we make sure that we foster the unity that we have with each other, and that we find, where is there a lack of unity? Is it in our relationships? Is it with my significant other? If that's the case, let's heal that. Let's come back to unity, oneness. Is it with our children? Let's make that deeper and stronger. Is it with my body? Let's come into deeper union with my body. Is it with nature? I'm missing out my connection with nature. Let me connect with that. Was it with my teams? So ultimately, it's about rediscovering in a joyful way the enlightenment, the unity, the oneness that's already here, and then serving that oneness in a pragmatic, real way. It sounds very big, but in practical application, what happens is that if you know that I have your back because I feel I am you, then you're going to bond with me. You're going to trust me more than ever. And you're going to trust my leadership and guidance and the direction of the company. And so becoming a transcendent leader and CEO is living the path of unity consciousness and having that transmit to our teams, our families, and the world, and then watching the magic happen from there, and then simply following our soul's command and watch how our businesses will bloom. It's really much simpler than we think it is, but we must be willing to surrender and sacrifice and put down our complicated minds and our complicated egoic strategies. But we can do it, and the time is now to do that. I truly believe.
So beautifully said. Well, Mike, this has been an incredible interview. You have shared so many insights, revelations. Thank you for your openness, your vulnerability. What would you say to the person who's watching this right now and maybe they are like you were, that Mike who was seeking and searching and looking around and thinking it was about doing more and more and more and more and more, putting more and more on yourself. What would you say to a person who was maybe similar characteristic, personality driven, and they're watching right now and they're considering being a part of the equilibrium circle? What would you say to them?
Oh, wow. If you're lucky enough to be considering joining the Equilibrium Circle, like, don't hesitate. Like, click the buy button. Like, just click it. Like, stop thinking. The thinking is the problem. The thinking is the problem, right? Yeah, and I hope to see you in the circle. And yeah, if I think that's all I can say is, like, click the buy button, click the buy button. It's honestly the best decision I've made. And like, I could bring my wife out here and she'd be like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Just in terms of my role, my family, and the way I've just changed, I've changed, and I love the way that I've changed. It's not like, oh, I'm doing this now out of like self-flagellation. I'm doing it because I love my life. My life is beyond my wildest dreams. And it's a result of the work that we all do together. So I hope to see you in the circle. Click the buy button.
Wow, that's amazing. And Satyan, I know that I can also second that statement that mentoring with you is the best decision I've ever made. Would you agree that for the person who is right for this could be the one difference that makes all the difference?
Our soul is already giving us a message. Our soul is letting us know, I believe truly, through the voice of comfort or discomfort. When our soul has a feeling of yes and our mind has a feeling of yes, and we move towards that with a yes, and we make it a heck yes, in spite of the fears, in spite of trepidations, in spite of costs, in spite of financial concern, and we say yes to the soul and mind alignment, grace comes to us in full force. And so that's what I want to share, challenge, and invite. To walk the path of the warrior sage is to walk into the path of the unknown. And the unknown, not the scary unknown, but the magnificent unknown, which is truly our future self calling us to be home to our deepest return.
Wow. Well, that was a perfect way to end this incredible interview. It always feels like it goes so fast. I could never get enough of it. Thankfully, we don't have to ever end the conversation, Mike, because I know I'll be seeing you in the circles and on the retreats. And thank you so much for being here today with us.
My pleasure. I feel like I got more out of this than I gave. So thank you so much for allowing me to come on this with you guys. Thank you.
No. Well, we will continue to celebrate your success, share your success. And Satyan, what would you like to say in closing today?
Mike, I'm so grateful for you, your passionate heart, and your willingness to dive into this path of the warrior sage and to live a life of equilibrium. You're really a stellar demonstration of this work. So thank you. And Andrea, thank you for your wonderful heart and you being a demonstration, living these principles. As a mentor, as a guide, my deepest joy is to see your lives bloom when you take these teachings and living them. So thank you for being the incredible expressions that you are. All my love and gratitude.
Aw. Well, it's just one big love fest over here. If you have watched all the way to the end, then maybe you are feeling called to this message, to this circle, to this movement. If that is in you and you're curious, then we invite you to reach out. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to know what has impacted you from this conversation today, and ultimately how we can be of service, because the co-collective collaboration that we're all in together is truly a circle where we are all building each other up. And who knows, maybe someday you'll be the one being interviewed on the next Transcendent CEO. I know I look forward to meeting you, Satyan and Mike. We welcome you with open arms. Thank you for watching, and until next time, here's to your transcendence.